Hello again! Today we are going to talk about how you can make an outline for your own curriculum so that you can start planning out your lessons. Let's go! So this is where we stopped last time with our little student planner here. Now we're going to go to a planned outline. Now, you might be wondering, why do I need both a planned outline and an actual outline? The simple answer to this is things don't always go as planned. So as you are making your skeleton here, this is just a rough general rule of thumb to give you some directions, a path to follow, so to speak, while you're making out your lessons. But once you actually sit down and start making your lessons, you might add words, take away words, add some grammar concepts, take away some grammar concepts, depending on what feels right for you in that moment. So my actual outline is vastly different from my planned outline, and I fill in my actual outline as I complete more classes. Why even bother with an actual outline? Well, eventually you will be complete, right? You won't have any more lessons to make. This is the wonderful part about making your own curriculum, is that you can make it exactly the way that you want to, and once it's done, it's done. You can use it for multiple students over and over and over again. And having an actual outline is helpful because you can print that off in a PDF file and then send that to parents when they ask for it, so that they know what level their student is at, what to expect in upcoming classes, and things like that. So let's get started. Once again, we are going to want some floating titles, because once you get off of the first page, it can be very easy to forget which column is for what. In the first box, we're going to type in the course. You could call it a level, whatever you want. Basically, this is it the beginner course, the intermediate course? What level is it, right? So you can use the word level, you can use the word course, doesn't really matter. First one is going to be the course. In the second column, we're going to do vocab. What vocabulary words are going to be in this particular lesson? In the third column, grammar. What kind of grammar is going to be in this lesson? Now, of course, I am making this from an ESL standpoint, like I'm teaching English, but you could do this for anything, science, math. Now, you're still going to have a vocab section if you're doing science or math, but you're probably not going to have a grammar section for those subjects. Instead, you might have your main scientific topic or your math topic. Are you doing the Pythagorean theorem? You know, what is the lesson about? So your lesson content, the primary focus of the lesson, what's that going to be? That's going to go in this box. Because I'm an English teacher, mine's going to be grammar. Now, this column is just for me personally. I like to include math and science, and sometimes even history, in my English lessons, because as an English learner myself, I wish that these things were included in textbooks. I wish I could tell you how to read 2 + 2 = 4 in Japanese. But these students are hoping to achieve fluency. And to really achieve fluency, these are things that they need to know. So I personally like to include math, science, and history in my lessons. You don't have to. But this column we're going to call math. This is just how I do my curriculum. You don't have to copy me. This is just kind of giving you a rough outline so that you can branch out and do your own thing. This next one, phonics, any kind of phonics that you're going to do in that lesson. Now, not all of these things are going to be in every lesson. Not every single lesson is going to have math. Not every single lesson is going to have phonics. They're all going to have vocab, because that's kind of a key detail. But they're not all going to have these other things. These are just, if they do have it, these are the columns it will go in. And then sight words. I always do sight words. Now, because I'm an English teacher, this is pretty much all that I need. You can add to this, you can change it. Just figure out what your titles need to be and type them in. And this time we only need this one floating title. So we're going to go ahead and highlight it. Go to view, freeze, and this time we only need that first row. So just hit one row. It's frozen. Now we are going to go ahead and pre-edit our document here. We want everything to be centered, right? We want everything in the center, in the middle of the alignment here. That's this button. Don't know if my mouse is visible. If not, I will use my editing software to circle it. But it's this one here. And then we have text wrapping. We want that to wrap. We don't want it to clip. We don't want it to overflow. We want it to wrap. We want that for the whole document. And then you just go through step by step. One of the first things you need to do is decide how many lessons you want per unit. Regardless of what subject you're teaching, you should separate them into units. It's just the easiest, most basic way to keep track of everything. So since this is the very first unit, we're going to call it B for beginner. We're going to put a dot, and then we're going to type unit 1. You can put a semicolon or a forward slash or whatever. We're going to use a colon here. And then decide what you think the first unit should be about. Now, when you are developing curriculum, having experience is helpful. If you've worked with other companies before, think about the order that they did things. It's not necessary, but it's helpful to think about the way other people are doing it. If you've ever studied a foreign language before, that's also very helpful. Think about the way that you were taught and the order that you were taught. If you've never tried to study a foreign language, I do encourage you, even if you don't care and you don't want to achieve fluency, I do encourage you to try it. Try it for 1 month. Download Duolingo. It's free. Try it for 1 month because it will really help you to relate with your students, and it will help you develop curriculum because you can kind of see the order that they do things, what kind of categories they have, that sort of thing. Pretty much across the board, I've used so many textbooks. I've tried so many language apps. Pretty much across the board, there's a few things that are usually towards the beginning. Colors, family, food, those types of things are usually quite close to the beginning, right? So let's just say for our very first unit, we're going to do colors. Unit 1, colors. Okay. Then, how many lessons are you going to have? Do you want 10 lessons per unit? 12 lessons per unit? 20 lessons per unit? What do you think each unit needs to have? My units all have 8 primary lessons, and then they will occasionally have supplemental lessons like songs or vocabulary focuses with things like Blue's Clues, games, or things like that. But there's only 8 primary lessons. Sometimes there's only those 8 lessons, and then sometimes there are books and other things that are in the same topic that I will include in that unit just because the vocabulary and the grammar being used is in the same theme, right? But they have 8 primary lessons. So in my outline, I only have those 8 lessons listed. I don't have the singing course. I don't have that listed. I don't have the TV shows and things that I've kind of dissected and turned into lessons. I don't have any of that in the outline. The outline is only for the main lessons. So I do 8. You can do 10. You could do 15. Doesn't matter. However many, you could do 5 if you want to. Doesn't matter how many or how few. But be consistent. Each unit should have the same number of lessons, right? It's just more professional that way, and it's cleaner, and it also helps you cover all of your bases. So first, pick your unit theme. Decide how many lessons you want. We're going to go lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, 4, and we're going to go all the way down until we are satisfied. And just because I did 8, we're only going to do 8. Okay. So there we go. Unit 1, 8 lessons. And then we're going to go ahead. We're not going to think about the vocabulary at all. We're not going to do anything. All we're doing right now is figuring out the subject, the topic for each of the units. That's all we're doing first. So now we're going to do B, Unit 2. What do we want this one to be? Maybe it could be family members, right? We want to do family. And then you can take this and you can copy. Go here and hit paste. Okay. Unit 3. Maybe for this one, so we did color and panel, let's do home, like your furniture and things that are in your house. Okay. Then go underneath of it, hit paste. Okay. We're going to keep doing that all the way down until you get all your units. Then you'll move on to the intermediate course, the advanced course, and you'll just keep doing that, right? Now, you should complete your courses before moving on to the next course. So what I mean by that is finish your beginner course. So figure out your units first. Then go back, type in your vocab, your grammar that you're going to teach in the beginner course. Then once the beginner course is 100% planned out, then you can move on to the next course. The reason why you want to do that is you want to avoid overlap, right? It's okay to overlap vocabulary and it's okay to overlap grammar to a point because repetition, spaced repetition in particular, is very important for learning a new language. But you don't want them to be exactly the same, right? So do all of your beginner course first because you want to make sure that everything scaffolds nicely but doesn't get repetitive. You don't want too much repetition. And then you just go through step by step how you want to plan this out and list out your vocabulary words that you're going to have. List out your sight words. But make sure that everything kind of flows. I'll go ahead and say that the vocabulary is the easy part. As for the grammar, the math, the phonics, you can look at other sources. Look at Hooked on Phonics or any of the other phonics websites. What order do they do their phonics? Usually we'll start with one of the A words, like maybe it'll be at. And maybe in this one we'll do add. And in this one, well, we won't do anything, but this one we're going to do both, at and add, right? And we're going to do that throughout this whole unit. We're not going to do anything else other than at and add, right? We're going to skip it again in this next one, and we're going to do at and add again, right? And then maybe in unit 2, maybe in this one we'll do ag. And then in this one we'll do app. Oops. Right? So you're going to go through step by step and make sure everything fits within that theme and that they're all building off of each other so that they can keep practicing these things and actually master them as opposed to just practicing them for one lesson and then forgetting about them completely, right? Spaced repetition is one of the most important things of learning a language. Again, if you've never studied a language before, I do encourage you to give it a shot. You will learn a lot of things. I do recommend separating everything by color. So for example, maybe your beginner course is red. All of the units for the beginner course should be the same color, like this. That way, not only can you see the units nice and separated and easy, but you know that these are all the beginner course. So let's say that, let's just pretend this is the intermediate course. We're going to put intermediate unit 1, and I don't know, maybe it's animals. And we're going to take this one and we're going to color this one green, right? Maybe the intermediate course is green. Just something like this. It just helps keep everything organized. And if you're looking for something, you want to find something quickly, it's a lot easier to find things this way. I won't lie to you. This is a little bit time consuming, but it is worth it. It will set you apart from other teachers. It will give you control over everything that you're teaching. And it's really, really worth it if you are able to sit down and put the time into it. Now, if you don't trust yourself to come up with your own curriculum, you can still have an outline like this, but maybe you get your curriculum from a textbook, right? Maybe you buy a textbook, you look at the chapters, maybe those chapters are your units, right? Sometimes textbooks will even have units, and then each unit will have a chapter. One chapter could be one lesson, or even a couple of lessons, depending on how lengthy that chapter is. So you don't have to necessarily come up with the curriculum yourself. You can take that curriculum from a textbook, but still make an outline like this following that textbook, so that while you're making your lessons, you have easy access to everything, and it's a lot easier to find what you're looking for, and it just makes your life a lot easier. That is pretty much it. If you have any questions or want me to do a follow-up video on anything specific, please let me know and I will work on that. So let's wrap this up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.